On the next Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast, meet the real Milli Vanilli.
It's like an urban legend. There's still people here who think that the real Milli Vanilli was this little young girl who wasn't even born when it came out. This is very weird because the people they're in denial, yeah, especially in Germany, in the German thing. So when Oprah Winfrey actually, she knighted us with that. God bless her, and I thank her every day. Thank you, Oprah.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Kevin O'Neill and Andrew Caravella, and you're at Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast on your favorite listening apparatus.
Apparatus. I like that word, Kevin.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a
apparatus.
Good one. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's well, we're kind of a crazy week. We got some great interviews coming up for you, though, in just a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. But first, we're going to talk about a few things. Today is Monday, and guess what, Andrew?
What's that?
We have a Democratic presidential team.
Kamala
Harris.
Kamala Harris 2020, because is Biden really going to survive his presidency? I mean, can we be real?
Well, I already heard him saying that 2024, he's setting her up to be the 2024 candidate because Biden has not officially said that he's going to run in 2024. I mean, it's still 2020.
I'll one up that. I think he's setting her up for 2022 because I don't.
Because he won't make it to 2024.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to die in office. I just think psychologically he's not going to make it through office. That's how I feel by this point. I don't know how other Democrats feel. I do know, though, I have been talking about this, publicly, my point of view, and no one that votes blue has actually argued that. So I feel like there is a understanding that it's not so good for Joe there, and they're just hoping that they can win the presidency in November. I think it's just a mad dash to the finish by this point, Kevin. I don't know, but I'm very interested to know more about Kamala because I'm under the impression she's going to end up becoming the president, in the 20 to 2024, the next 4 years. So I need to learn everything I can about her.
Well, I guess we'll have to see on that. I don't think she'll be anything. She's got some bad baggage, but I mean, she's a.
Though, I know that, we don't see eye to eye on politics all that much, but fun fact, Trump did support her in 2011 and 2013, which wasn't that far ago.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder why. It makes me wonder what it was that she was going for. I think at that time it was Attorney General, and then in 2013 it was Senator. It makes me wonder what was happening with her campaigning that he was so behind and so for. So I got to do some research and some homework to see what it's all about.
Well, it's a surprise because, Biden and Kamala did not hit it off on the debates very well. And that was, she was over the busing and over the racism and the whole bit. And he said he defended himself by saying that he was not all about that. But I don't think he's all about anything right now.
I think that's just the typical politicians being actors. That's all just face because you're all fighting for the same position. And then at the end of the day, well, now you're together on the same ticket, so go team.
Doesn't that go to tell you that, when they're doing that they're not sincere about anything, to me?
Well, yes. And I feel like it's always been like that, to be honest with you. I mean, like you said, I mean, that matches very well up with the fact that Trump decided to give her money in those 2 different years. Yeah. So I'm not saying Trump is a politician. I'm just saying
he's not a politician. He's a businessman.
Right. I'm saying, so maybe he did it for his own personal gain in California. I don't know. But I just feel like that's all just face. And I feel like that comes with the territory when you're trying to become a public figure. I don't necessarily think it's a political thing because I've seen a lot of that in Hollywood as well. So I think it's just far as being a public figure and doing what you need for yourself, to be honest with you. So I don't know if I'm really going to, count the whole Trump giving money as I would, count for Kamala being against Biden and not now being against Biden. I feel like it's all the same thing at the end of the day.
Right. Well, Joe Biden puts the dim in dementia. You know that, right?
That's good.
So
did you make that up, or
no,
did you stole a meme?
I stole a meme. But, that's pretty good. I always thought that was a good one there. So
I mean, that is good. That is pretty funny.
So,
I'm not gonna lie.
It's gonna be interesting to see what's going on with I mean, I have to admit, yes, you and I wouldn't say we don't see eye to eye, but you and I just don't have. You and I have different theories about the elections and the presidents and Trump.
But at the end of the day, Kevin, we can actually successfully have an open conversation about it, and that's a rare thing nowadays.
Well, that's true. It's very rare because I mean, you and I have been friends, and just because you and I don't agree on some things doesn't mean we're not going to still be friends. I mean, a lot of people should do that, actually. I mean, but people are so. Everybody's very sensitive nowadays compared to when I was a kid. People weren't near as, I don't think people were near as sensitive, like they are now. Everybody's just real sensitive about everything.
Yeah.
I guess we will see what happens in the future.
Couple months, it's coming up.
I've had people tell me, that once this election is over, the coronavirus is going to go away. I don't believe that.
Well, Russia has a vaccine now.
Yes, I saw that a vaccine, and it's
what they're calling it?
Approved by Russia. I don't know if it's been approved by anybody else, but
no.
And Putin's daughter took it.
Yep, and you know what they're calling it?
What's that?
Sputnik 5.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Let me just double check it here. Yeah, Sputnik 5 is what they are dubbing this coronavirus vaccine.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly it's also a vaccine that completely kills the coronavirus. It's a long-lasting, forever vaccine.
And it only took 3 months.
I've been hearing from the CDC and the WHO that the vaccine will not be something like that. It'll be something you have to take every year. But Russia says they've completely ended the whole thing. When people start taking this, it's good for life. So that's kind of unusual to see and hear all of a sudden. If it works, I mean, that's a wonderful thing. But if it doesn't, I guess we'll.
Well, okay, it's a wonderful thing for Russia. Now it comes to how are they going to distribute it around the world?
Right.
That's what we'll have to watch and see if, in fact, Sputnik 5 is legitimately the vaccine.
Yeah, well, they're saying months and months down the road that the vaccine is not going to be approved for anybody, but Russia's all done with theirs. So I guess we will see what happens with that. Gosh, I don't know. I mean, there's pros and cons, I guess. It's like with anything, you got to weigh your pros, you got to weigh your cons, and I guess we'll see what happens in that. But,
Absolutely. Great show today.
We do have a great show today. We've been talking about this for weeks, and they were here. Andrew had to go to San Diego on Saturday, and we did an interview. It's kind of weird because, when you're working with this kind of stuff, and you meet people and things, they have time schedules, a lot of people, and they want to get in, and we normally record. You've had a busy schedule this last week. You went, I saw you throwing hatchets, dude.
Yeah, axe throwing. I did it. It was fun.
That looks fun. It looked like a lot of fun.
It's ironic because I've actually gone shooting, like gun shooting, and I've posted to social media. People weren't happy with that. There was no engagement with that at all. But I show myself throwing axes. Everyone gets excited about it.
That's just another thing, the gun thing, I mean,
I guess it's a sensitive topic, But it's funny because I was joking when I was gun shooting about pandemic practice, different times we live in. I kind of basically did the same thing with the axe throwing. I called it pandemic practice because we're living in a different type of world nowadays, and you got to be prepared. And people just loved it. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm throwing an axe. It could be violent.
It can get pretty violent, pretty dirty.
Now, I will say this: axe throwing is a great time. It's fun. It's physical, right? You feel like you got to work out. I was throwing axes, Kevin, for 85 minutes.
Wow, you were sore, I bet.
Yeah, no, it felt great. I had a whole sweat on my back and everything, and I threw different sizes also, and I got to learn different techniques on how to throw it, and I even learned a couple trick shots. So It was a good time. I recommend anyone trying it as a first time date. You'll always remember it.
It's like that with a bow and arrow too. Pulling that thing back and holding it and getting steady, and then letting it go. It's kind of a workout for your arms and your back. You have to do it a certain way. Well, we'll get back to the thing we were talking about, our guests. I'm excited to have our guests. Guess who's going to be here? You know who's going to be here, but these people don't know who's going to be here. We have Milli, the real Milli Vanilli, on the show today.
Not the ones that that lied and gave back their Grammys, but the ones
Linda
that actually
Rocco
singing,
and Jodie Rocco are here.
the real singers.
The real singers of the album. Charles Shaw, he's also a real singer. He's the one who did all the rap parts for the album. He wasn't here, unfortunately, but we do have Linda and Jodie here. Been friends with those girls for quite some time. They're funny. They're political as well in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a good show today.
Yeah, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick break. Yeah, believe it or not, we're going to take our first commercial break. And when we come back, I believe we have Linda
first.
We have Linda first and then Jodie after. So don't go
away.
away.
The thing about the time zones exactly was the fact that Linda's in Germany and Jodie's in Las Vegas. So
right. So we had to re-coordinate our schedule because of the different time zones. So we'll be right back on Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast. Make sure to subscribe. Spotify, iHeart, Google, or Apple Podcasts, or on Facebook, wherever you're watching or hearing this. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Andrew Caravella, your best friend in the whole wide world from Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast. Well, you see, this is the portion of the show where we give thanks to our sponsors and go ahead and roll one of their commercials. However, we currently don't have any sponsors for our show. This is where their commercial would go. So if you want to be a sponsor, please feel free to hit us up at koacpodcast@gmail.com. I mean, it's like wide open. So like you could just like send us stuff now and we can talk, work out a deal. We need money and you need people to know your product or service. So hit us up, koacpodcast@gmail.com.
Well, ring my chimes. Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast.
Kevin and Andrew, for God's sake, this has been a long road.
Oh, no. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Linda Rocco here from the real Milli Vanilli. Everybody, Andrew, we're going to...
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody.
Are you in Frankfurt, right?
Yes, I am.
Frankfurt, Germany. We're talking to
That's
Frankfurt,
right.
Germany.
We're talking about there's two Frankfurts, East and West. I'm in the West.
All right.
You look much different than on the music videos that I YouTubed.
They were 40 years ago. Well, hold on. Which ones were you looking at?
The Milli Vanilli ones. You look.
Okay, you're hilarious. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Yeah. All right.
Now, were you Fab or
Isn't
Rob?
he cute? Yeah, right.
It's just a different look, so very good.
Yeah, she looks way better now than she did back then. No, actually, she's a very beautiful lady, Linda. And
well, thank you.
Jodie,
I couldn't figure out my computer.
I know George is in the background. George, you're a very lucky man.
Oh no, he's in the other. He went out now. He was just here to. Because I was. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
So good to see you. I've known you for a long time, and we haven't really had a chance to actually meet or talk. But I've known Jodie for 9 years probably now.
Highway Radio. Didn't you guys do your thing with that?
We did. We worked together at Highway Radio. She was What's On magazine and all that good stuff. And
yes, that's a long history.
It's weird how things come about because you guys were so huge and famous back then. I'm going to pull this up. Go ahead. You want to say hi to her, Andrew? Go ahead.
Hey, Andrew, what's up?
Not much. I'm a Sagittarius. How about yourself?
I'm a Gemini, both of me.
That's funny because all of my close friends, there's about 5 or 6 of them, they're all Geminis.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah. But anyway, lucky you. Lucky.
So here it is, Andrew. This is the record. Milli Vanilli.
Yeah, I'm on the left side.
And when you open it up, it says on the inside, or does it say on the back? Let's see, I got to find it here. It's somewhere on here. That vocals by Linda and Jodie Rocco.
Yeah. We were always mentioned, by the way. It wasn't like we weren't mentioned.
So wait a second. So you mean to tell me when that scandal was going on, the information was there and no one was just paying attention?
Thank you, Andrew.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I rest my case. This is the thing. They didn't want to see it. They just, the people they think with their eyes first. They're not paying attention. I mean, if you think about it, and you see 3 black girls on the Grammys singing the backing vocals, but what I'm hearing, close your eyes, what I'm hearing are country, maybe a little R&B, but country vocals. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let me ask you this. This might be scandalous in itself. How common was that idea back then, where there were other singers versus who the image was. How common was that back then, when this album came out?
When it came out, oh, that was very, very common, especially for Germany.
Really?
Germany is well known for that, and Frank Farian was very well known for that. There was a group called Bonnie M before we did Milli Vanilli, right before that, pretty much. There was one girl who sang, Liz Mitchell, and the other ones could sing a little bit, but it was also basically, it was a studio baby, yeah. But Germany, miming, all those TV shows. When I was doing TV shows, I'm going, let me turn on the microphone. What's wrong with the microphone? And they're going, nobody sings live. I said, this girl does, yeah. And so that's how it started, where I realized that no, especially, when I was touring, I also did the 90s tours I did Eurodance, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And we had these long, huge tours with the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. They sang live, but all the German acts, half of them weren't the singers.
So what was the purpose of that exactly? Why did, you guys, I talked to Jodie in depth, a few times in person, and she told me that a lot of it had to do with the looks. And I don't understand that, because you guys are both beautiful ladies. And I know Frank, the guys that sang with you, why did Frank Farian not want to have you guys? I don't understand why. What was the purpose when you guys were so talented? I don't understand that.
It's easy. We weren't black.
Oh, I see.
It didn't fit the picture. It didn't fit his idea of how it should look.
I see. So
he told me that himself. I asked him myself. Why not? I asked him, yeah. And he said, well, it just doesn't fit the, like I said, if you close your eyes, it fits. Yeah. But if you open your eyes, you're expecting to see, he wanted that whole thing. So when they went on tour, where we lost a lot of money because we weren't part of it, they went on tour, they earned huge bucks. Everybody was black on stage. There was not one white person.
Wow, that's crazy.
Let me ask you
and
this.
That's the truth. That's reversed. I'm not complaining. I'm not going to go on with pickets. Going around saying I was, they do now. They say, well, because you're black, you're being treated like that. Because you're white, you're being treated. I never even said anything. Discrimination. I never complained about it and all. But that's exactly what it was.
Let me ask you this, since you've been in music for a hot minute. Do you feel like it's still like that now? It's because we're living in a very, very PC world where everything has to be plain Jane, if you will, right? So I guess my question then is, does the music industry, from your standpoint, is that still where those kind of stereotypes are still prominent, or is it way looser now?
It will always be very visual thing. This business is visual, and if you can't understand, the people who want to join it and say, okay, I tell my students, we have a school here, right? And I'm telling them, why are you not dressed up for stage? If I want to see someone looking like they're going shopping, I'll go shopping, yeah. But if you want to do something special, you need to be special. You need to be as good looking as you possibly can. Not, even if you're not good looking, at least look your best, yeah.
Susan Boyle always looked her best.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm just saying, I'm just saying it will always be a visual thing. Right, there are some exceptions to the rule. But in our case, it wasn't because we weren't cute or pretty or talented. It was because we were just not the right color.
Okay, I'm going to shift back. I'm going to shift backwards a little bit, Linda. I was a disc jockey in the 90s in Texas and New Mexico, and Milli Vanilli became really huge with Girl, You Know It's True. Tell us about the concept. Tell us about what all brought you guys together in Germany in the studio. Tell us how all this began. From the very beginning. We want to hear all that detail of how the concept of Milli Vanilli came about.
Okay, I was already working as one of the main backing vocalists for Frank Farian for years before that. And so one day it wasn't even for Frank, it was for Gunther Mende, who was also a huge producer at that time. And I had a studio job, and they would always say, Linda, you and choose somebody else. And my sister Jodie just happened to be visiting. It was a luck of the draw.
Just a luck of the draw.
That's exactly it for both of us, really. But I was usually there, so I said, "Oh, I'll bring my sister Jodie with me." So we finished that one whatever it was in the studio, the production with Gunther, and then Frank came up and said, "Linda, come here. Got a question. Do you have like just a couple seconds? I want you to just do a little fast thing. It's nothing much. It was just and of course Jodie says." I hope it's not something stupid like, ooh, 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 I love you. And I went, shh, quiet. Frank will hear you. When we went in, it was, ooh, 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 I love you. I mean, come on. He said, here's the record. He said, it's from Newmark's. And he had heard this song in the Funkadelic in Germany. He was always looking for new things. And he had heard it, and it was a Newmark's. And this Newmark's group was from the States. And one of the guys who wrote the song, I know him, Bill Petaway. So anyway, so he says, here it is. And he has this record player. He always played the stuff on the record player first for me. And he goes, Linda, this is it. He says, ooh, 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 I love you. And I looked at my sister, and I said, shh. And that's what we did. And there was nothing there but the drum track. We were the first things on that song.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's really cool. And then, of course, you guys had a lot of other hits with Blame It on the Rain, and there's so many more hits after that. I mean, this album was a huge album. I mean, everybody had this record right here. And
well, I was in elementary school in the 90s, so
I was 15. Okay, nobody likes a show off, mister.
on this album alone, Andrew, there's 5 hits. 5 hits on this album.
I know. I mean, I've heard it since, so that's... And I am familiar with the whole Milli Vanilli scandal, so which really, I guess, wasn't a scandal because it was already out there in the open.
So, Linda, when the scandal broke and this whole thing, I mean, they were on stage performing and this whole thing happened. Oh. Where were you at? How were you feeling? What was your thoughts when things were going through your head? Tell us about that.
At that moment, I was happy not to be on stage with them. I'll be honest with you. But I was here in Germany. Jodie was obviously in the States, and she had gone back already. But when that first thing you're talking about, when the skipping of the tape,
right? When first of all, why were they using tape? It didn't even
end there.
Why were they using tape to begin with? I was really surprised.
I always suspected it was some kind of sabotage. To be honest with you,
really?
But okay, here we go. Well, I'm Italian. We think in different directions. All right, but the thing is, it didn't even end there. The people forgave them, seriously. I mean, they didn't forget, but it happened long thereafter. And when that happened, when it hit the fan, of course I was here, and I was not shocked. I knew it was going to happen though long before, and you know why? Because they were doing interviews, and if you listen to their interviews, one is French, the other one's German. But they're singing like military guys who were here, and that's exactly what they were. Right. They were former military men who were singing and rapping this stuff. All 3 of them: Charles Shaw, buddy Brad, and my buddy Johnny. Yeah, and they were all ex-military. And so, but then when they would talk, and they were talking longer and longer in interviews, I just looked at my husband and I said, "This is going to end in tears." I knew it then. That was just too much.
Right.
And the success was huge, and it was a lot of jealousy. I think, the States are watching real close, and I don't blame them. The States doesn't take any crap, Either you sing live or they're sure there were some things, the Monkees or whoever it was who were doing their things, yeah. But it's not a normal thing for the States. And of course they're going to start looking closer. It's a huge success. And the bigger their mouths got, the more dangerous it became.
Well, the difference about the Monkees, they did do a lot of lip syncing.
That was a TV show, though.
A lot of those guys, right? But they were actually the artists who performed. I mean, they weren't. They were the singers, weren't they, on the album? And you guys were the singers on the Milli Vanilli album, but they didn't tell the truth about you guys being the singers. That was the problem, I think.
There's
More or
still
less, right?
people, it's like an urban legend. There's still people here who think that the real Milli Vanilli was this little young girl who wasn't even born when it came out. This is very weird because the people they're in denial, yeah, especially in Germany, in the German thing. So when Oprah Winfrey, actually, she knighted us with that. God bless her, and I thank her every day. Thank you, Oprah. Because when she interviewed the real Milli Vanilli, none of these fake people were there.
Right, right.
And that's it.
That Oprah interview was definitely a groundbreaker for you guys, and kind of resurrected what you had brought to the table for the music industry, and kind of set the truth straight for you guys. That was a great interview, the Oprah Winfrey interview.
And you know, you say it's not really done in the States, but in all honesty, I mean, if you look at like the Disney or Nickelodeon model for younger kids, it is a thing. And you know, the kids, you know, they don't believe it, but that's because they don't read the back of the albums. A good example, the High School Musical franchise. You know, they have three successful movies. I knew, because I started getting into the music industry right around that time, I knew it wasn't Zac Efron on the first one. It was Drew Seeley. It even says sang by Drew Seeley. And I mean, you could tell looking at Zac's acting. He's a good actor, but you could tell that voice is not being produced through that throat. There is no way. So, and even when they went live on tour after the first movie, it was Drew Seeley. It wasn't Zac Efron, but people still weren't connecting the dots. So you see that a lot.
But the difference is this success came from a foreign country, and it really just kind of knocked it out of the ballpark. So of course they're going to be looking closer. But none of us expected it. None of us expected it, especially Frank. The first thing he said was, "Oh, well, it appears that girl, you know, it's true." Is in the German chart. So let's do a few songs. Let's do some other stuff. Come on, let's do some. But here, look at this, Linda. There's these two guys from Munich and these two guys from, and they were like twins. And then the other two were Rob and Fab. He said, which one do you think should be on the cover of Girl You Know It's True? I said, hey, those guys from Munich, they're gorgeous. And, you know, so it was a normal thing. It was just a job at first.
Right. You know what? You're right. It's when it comes from overseas, it's more of a bigger deal. The UK had an artist about a decade ago called Ellie Goulding. And the Lights song was super huge over there before it ever came to the States. So when it came to the States, everyone was like, oh my gosh, who's this new artist? This is amazing. And then, you know, she was looked at more heavily. You know, she'd be doing acoustic sets and stuff. And she sings like she sings on the recording and stuff. So you're right. When it gets to the States and it comes from overseas, it gets looked at way more heavily when they start blowing up and they become a megastar.
Exactly. And then that's how that went. That's in my opinion. Yeah. So you want to go ahead.
So tell me, Linda, I want to know about, I know you've had other projects since Milli Vanilli. You were talking about Eurodance earlier. Linda also had a great group back, you know, Eurodance was huge in the late 90s and early 2000s. A lot of that really, really popular, like Captain Hollywood Project. Some of
you guys know that there?
Oh yeah, well, you know, some other stuff there.
Kevin knows it.
I mean, there was a lot of huge, you know.
Wake up, Andrew.
You know, it started with Erasure and some of those kind of groups back before. There was a huge Eurodance feel that had that pounding, you know, that it was a disco beat, but it was more electronically driven by the Euro sound. And you had a group called you worked with a group called Master Boy for a long time.
Yes. 3 years long.
That was a huge group back. I mean,
that was big.
You had quite a few hits with them too, as well, right?
Yes, I did. I had hits with them, and before that, I had done a thing called Power of American Natives, and that I had written as well. You know, with two DJs, and that was like huge. And I was known for power dance floor. Yeah, so it's like rock dance. So and that's how Master Boy had heard of me, and then
You can contribute some of that to like the group 2 Unlimited. That was a group that was a huge power dance. They were like the gods. Them. They were the gods of power dance back then. Also Shaman, another group that was very powerful.
Yes, that's Culture Beat.
Culture
I mean,
beat.
and of course,
Calling Mr. Vane. Calling
yes.
Mr. Vane. Yes.
Tanya Evans, what a great voice. I love her.
So
yeah, we went on tour together. Yeah, yes. So that
so
was
those
great.
would be those are kind of credit you. And then Master Boy came along, and they were a huge group too. And you did a lot of shows with that. And I've seen some of those YouTube tapes and things like that of you performing with that. It's
James,
really,
oh, you're so cute.
well,
at one point, you did background vocals for Michael Jackson.
Yes, I just, strangely enough, I finally found the picture because you can say what you want. You can put your hand up, go, I sang with, and I sang with. Okay, but I finally found a picture of me standing behind him on that stage. It was for George was there too, and it was for the Earth Song.
Oh,
it was the world premiere of the Earth Song, and this was in the time when he had that short hair, okay, and a white shirt and the blowing wind and stuff, and so we spent 4 days with him, and he practiced every single round of practice with us.
That's what they say.
It wasn't
he was a hard worker.
It wasn't like, normally I worked with Michael Bolton, I worked with all kinds of Huey Lewis. None of them were there for you're standing in for the lights, you're standing in for the sound check, you're doing your thing. None of them were there. He was there.
Wow.
He was amazing. And then he says, there's this crane that's going up, right? And that crane is going up, and there's the wind machine and the fog, and all of a sudden you hear click. The producer, Mr. Jackson, I just want to say that we cannot allow you to do that. So everything stopped. The music, the thing, the fog stopped. The machine, the wind machine stopped, and he said, I'm coming down. So he comes all the way down that crane. He walks over to the guy and said, it's my show. I'm going to do this. Now, if you want to do this with me, wait a minute. We're listening. We're hearing all this. If you want to do it with me, then I'm going to be here. If not, then I will walk. And then he just went, thank you, Mr. Jackson, proceed. Wow. That was the end of it. But he was hanging out of that thing, it did look, he did some crazy stuff, yeah. But that was amazing. I loved it. I thought that was great.
How do you feel about the music industry nowadays? Like the type of artists that are coming out and well, I guess more in pop music is kind of where I'm going with this, since that's what's really top 40. Like, do you feel like it's a different sound and feel as far as mainstream music is going nowadays?
There are still really good songs out there, really good singers. The only thing I don't like is when they use that sound on the voices, and that makes it, gives it an echo, and you don't hear the
auto tuning.
The auto, well, but first it was used as an effect by Cher with Believe. Yeah, it was an effect. It wasn't a corrector. Yeah,
T-Pain auto. It's T-Pain auto tuning. Yeah, the T-Pain.
I love it. Yeah, and so it had a good run for a while there, but now it's just used too heavily for me, because you don't recognize half of the artists. I wouldn't recognize them on a second run through. What I'm missing, there's just too much out there now. Everybody's a singer.
Yeah.
Everybody can sing. Everybody can write songs. Everybody has a YouTube channel. Yeah. But here's my opinion, as also not only as a singer, but as a vocal coach, is not everybody who has a voice can sing. The problem is, if they don't, like I have a girl who from Vegas who I coach online, and these are the ones who mean it seriously. They want to get better. They want to have something. My problem is that they don't have somebody that helps them, so they're imitating someone like
there it is right there,
Billie Eilish. Okay, who, that's her sound, that's her thing. That the ship has sailed. Don't try. So they're coming to me. Some of my students are going, I said, what is all this? She's already done that. This is my problem. So they're just copying is not a problem. I copied, and this is how I learned how to sing high, sing low. You might know that too, Andrew. You probably did that too.
Yeah, you use it as a template.
Of course, you're going
to create yourself, your unique.
I believe in that. I believe in it. I had no vocal teacher. I taught myself. All these different artists, from Donna Summer to Diana Ross, they were teaching me. These are the ones who taught me. I put those records on every day, and it's like I said, it's just too much mediocrity. There's nothing standing out really. The minute it's a little bit good, everybody goes, wow, because it's so mediocre,
Right.
or mediocre. Oh, good. It's just, so I'm saying the bar is way too low. This is what's happening with all these different.
Oversaturated.
That's right.
A lot of these artists have, they do sound a lot alike. I've heard, and there's still artists that are coming out that sound exactly like artists that were 3 or 4 years ago. You can't really, the songs are the same. They've all got the finger snaps in them now. A lot of songs, especially country songs. Yeah. I've heard of that. They're using a lot of, the technology I think has a lot to do with that. I think, I don't know, it's kind of weird that, once they get a kind of a sound, they kind of run with it for a while, and there's not any uniqueness in a lot of things. But, there is, that, in the 90s when Milli Vanilli was very popular, that sound was completely different. They had a different sound from anybody else.
It was very new. That's right.
It was completely different. And even so, no artists tried to really do that sound. I mean, there was a drum. You were talking about earlier, you guys laid your tracks down, and the only thing that was on there was the drums, which is several groups, though, took that drum track and used it in other songs. They did, and you could tell it was the Milli Vanilli drum track, but like PM Dawn was one. PM Dawn, I don't know if you remember them. Yeah. They redid a song, and they used the Milli Vanilli drum track. And a lot of artists were doing that, and they were looping the stuff, but they weren't really, and they were doing their own thing with it. But that was an original track, a drum track that will stand the test of time, I guess, because a lot of people I have heard a lot of people still use that track. But that's the thing now. A lot of singers sing exactly the same. There's not really any stand-out artists like there were back in the 90s with Milli Vanilli and say, for instance, they stood out. It stood out. It was a different sound. Nobody had it. It was their sound, and that sound lasted for 3 or 4 albums. How many albums did you do with Milli Vanilli, by the way?
Oh, well, we got through the first one. We actually were on all of the stuff that came out, which was also the real Milli Vanilli. Although they put the girls' vocal over ours, we were still on all of it. We're still on the album. We're mentioned as well. But the thing is, I understand when people, when certain, years, like in the 40s, a lot of the singers sounded similar. 50s, it's natural.
Right, it's a trend. I get that.
I get that. What I meant before, though, about everybody thinking that they're an artist because they have a YouTube channel and they sing to playbacks is making everything. It's just bringing the bar down so low that it's, I just want to cry, really, So, so hopefully we'll see another Prince come out eventually, or a Michael Jackson or somebody. Let's see what's going on. There's still good artists and good singers out there. I
do encourage, people to try and, do new things if they're looking at being an artist. And I like looking at the covers on YouTube. I will admit that if they're trying something different to the song, they're doing a spin on it. But when it's like a karaoke track of some kind and you're singing all these same inflections and runs like verbatim of, insert artist name here, it's like, okay, well, I could have just listened to the real thing.
It will always be less than what people are expecting. If you try to copy exactly, you will always come up short because the original was already there and there's nothing like the original. Then do your own thing. You're absolutely right, Andrew.
So how do you feel about the when they took the Grammys and stuff away? How did you feel? I mean, you got some fame out of the whole deal.
Well, she should have got the Grammy. It was her voice.
Right. I agree. They should have gotten the Grammys. But when this whole scandal broke, they took the Grammys away, and that was what was kind of sad about the whole thing. How did you feel about that? And also, I want to know who do you look up to as a singer? Who's your favorite artist?
Well, we'll go to the Grammy thing. I never felt like it was. I never felt like something was taken away. I'll be honest with you. And later on, I thought, okay, we would have deserved it. It was just, we were just so pushed in the background for so many years. That I didn't think much about it at that time. That's my answer to that.
So you never really had anything to really lose because you never really got it to begin with.
Exactly. They can't take something from me that I didn't have in my hand.
Gotcha.
So, but did we deserve it? Yes. I think we deserve a lot of things. Yeah, we deserve to be in the real Milli Vanilli. We deserve to be on a tour that was making money. We deserve a lot of stuff. But you know what? Things don't happen always the way you plan it.
Right.
Now, the other half of that question was, oh, who do I look up to? Well, Cher was one of my big ones. Yeah, and then I had Donna Summer, whom I absolutely adored. Country. I love Dolly Parton. I love country artists in general. I really, they have the best lyrics. Come on, let's face it. The country song, don't you think?
You like beer drinking, truck driving songs, then, right?
I do. Hell yeah. No, I just like, I like the fact that they're usually really good singers. Yeah. And great lyrics. So
have you had a chance to meet any of them, the ones that you look up to?
I got an autograph from Cher on the steps of the Caesar's Palace. My mother took me to see her. I saw her 3 times. I saw her twice at Caesar's Palace, and I had a girlfriend who was working as a cocktail waitress. So I got in twice there. And then once here in Germany, I had a friend who was putting on the concert. So in the hall, the big hall here. So I saw her there, and that was amazing. Who did I meet well, you know who I met that I absolutely adore is the Bee Gees. We were a support act for the Bee Gees for 5 open air concerts in Germany.
Wow.
And I got to talk to Barry Gibb every day for 5 days.
Wow.
And he was so amazing. I have a picture
awesome.
of everything. I've already posted that. But I just love them but what I really love are the ones with the good vocals, like the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac. I love Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks is my go-to girl. She's my favorite singer of all time.
Well, we appreciate that so much. Andrew?
Yeah, no, I guess that's the interview. This was awesome.
Oh, okay. Can I tell you one little anecdote?
Yeah, go
about
for
Milli
it.
Vanilli. Has to be Milli Vanilli. So Jodie and I are driving around in Vegas, and I had rented a Mustang. I loved it, so I had rented a Mustang. I think we were gassing up or something or whatever, and so we hear ooh 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 I love you, and I go, oh, you got the tape in? She goes, no, that's the radio. And we both looked at each other and went, that's the radio. We went absolutely. People thought we were lunatics.
Was that the first time you heard your song on the radio? The very first time, or was that
in the States?
Wow.
In the States, in Las Vegas. That's what was important for me.
Yeah.
So that's my story. Is that's the most exciting moment of my entire career was that.
That's amazing. And you're in Vegas when you're doing that too. That's crazy.
That's right.
And Jodie lives in Vegas now. She's in Vegas now. So.
Yes. I hope to go visit very soon again.
You need to come out and visit us. We would love to see you.
I would love that.
We would
you
love
guys
to have
are so adorable. I've been watching your podcasts. I've been catching up on all your podcasts. I think
awesome.
You guys are the cat's meow. Really.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it so much. And of course, we're talking with Linda Rocco, who is one of the members of the real Milli Vanilli. And she's in Frankfurt, Germany tonight. And it's tonight there. It's like what, midnight there?
It's about, let me see. Yes, almost.
Close to midnight.
You're welcome. Yes.
We had some sound issues trying to get in here. We got all the sound issues and all the things fixed and worked it all out. And we're glad you're here with us because we really wanted to have this interview with you. We've talked about this for a long time, and Andrew's was excited about it. I'm really excited about it. I've known you guys for a long time.
I mean, the whole Milli Vanilli thing is going to be a part of pop culture history until the end of time.
Well, there's films coming out now.
Yeah. So, and that's that's what happens after X amount of time. People revisit those moments, those pinnacle moments in music. So, yeah, it's kind of special to have you, and your sister. I mean, you're a part of music history, like big music history. So it's kind of cool.
Well, one more quick thing. Tell us about your project with you and George, your husband.
Well, we have a vocal school that's been on since 1992. We were the first pop vocal school in Germany. What we're doing now is just basically, I bring out our last record my last record I brought out, we had written in 1988. The thing is still, they had it redone, and that's what they're listening to today. And we have a band, so we are busy bees.
That's good that you're a musician. Has COVID affected you out there pretty good? Are you able to play? Are you able to do any live music?
Well, we had our first concert last week, but it was, of course, when it was open air. There's nothing inside,
Right.
as you know. I mean, you know that. And then we just had, we do Scream Factory Coffee House. This is where we allow our kids to give them a chance to get up on stage. And that was a very small place, so only a couple people can come in. So it's, everybody's being very careful, and they're going to make it stricter again, because they don't want it to get that second curve going. But mask is a definite, and anywhere you go here.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good that you guys are being safe out there. We appreciate that.
We're staying safe.
I've been playing some concerts too with our band, and actually we have one next week, so I'm pretty excited. It's also outside with four other artists, so we'll see what happens about that. But yeah, it's kind of scary to go out and try to play a gig. And you don't know. I mean, and obviously, if you're a singer, you can't wear a mask on stage and try to project onto the microphone.
I've tried it eating dinner out, and you just can't do it without hurting yourself. Seriously. So God bless you, and have a great gig is what I'm thinking.
Well, thank you very much.
Some videos. Get a video. I'm always watching for it.
Well, we appreciate it very much. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, we're with Linda Rocco from Frankfurt, Germany, a real Milli Vanilli. We appreciate you being here so much. We appreciate you staying up late, your time to get here with us.
Thank you so much.
Everything. Andrew, you want to say something to the lovely lady?
I just want to say thank you so much. And the next thing that you have coming, you'll have to let Kevin know so we can get you back on the show.
Yes.
I would love that. Just to shoot the breeze with you guys. I think you guys really are so adorable. I'm happy I could talk with you both. God bless.
Thank you.
God
so
bless
much,
you too.
Linda.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Take
Thank
care.
you, Linda. All right.
Awesome.
Bye.
Wow, that was awesome, Kevin.
That was great, wasn't it? She's such a sweet lady. I've known her for such a long time. She's just an adorable doll. I just love her to pieces. Yeah. And Jodie too. I've actually got to be on stage and sing with Jodie a little bit, and I worked with Jodie for such a long time.
And she will be on later on in the show. So very good. All right. Well, guess what? We're actually going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will have the second half of the real Milli Vanilli, Jodie Rocco, with us here. Not in studio, but in Zoom.
Right, for sure. So you're listening to Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast, and we'll be right back.
Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Andrew Caravella, your best friend in the whole wide world from Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast. Well, you see, this is the portion of the show where we give thanks to our sponsors and go ahead and roll one of their commercials. However, we currently don't have any sponsors for our show. This is where their commercial would go. So if you want to be a sponsor, please feel free to hit us up at koacpodcast@gmail.com. I mean, it's like wide open. So like you could just like send us stuff now and we can talk, work out a deal. We need money and you need people to know your product or service. So hit us up, koacpodcast@gmail.com.
Shooting the breeze. Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast.
All right. Well, welcome back to Kevin and Andrew Have a Podcast. I'm Andrew Caravella. The other fellow is Kevin O'Neill.
That's me.
Yep, that's you. Wow, Kevin, we've had a great show so far.
It's been fun.
It's been an interesting one.
I won't deny the fact that we've had technical issues all day today.
All day.
Wow. We were talking with Linda Rocco early in Germany. We couldn't get the audio to work. My main studio computer was doing some weird stuff and wouldn't mute things, and it was just kind of weird. And got all my noises and my cussing and everything else in. We'll have to go back and really do some editing this week.
I can make a good remix out of that. I'm just saying.
But guess what?
What?
Look at that beautiful lady right there. Say hi, Jodie.
Hi, Jodie.
That is
Hi,
Jodie.
guys.
That's Jodie Rocco. She's the other half of the Rocco twins, and she's in Las Vegas live right now. And another great, beautiful part of the group they call Milli Vanilli, and she's the webmaster and the host of the real Milli Vanilli website. Andrew, how about that?
That's awesome. So, Jodie, were you Vanilli? Is that how that works?
No, that's really not how it works. Actually, I don't know if Linda got into this, but the name of the group came from Frank Farian's partner and girlfriend, Ingrid. Her nickname was Milli. And because in Europe, they always like to rhyme stuff, so it became Milli Vanilli.
Her name was
really
Ingrid, and they got Milli Vanilli out of the Ingrid?
Milli was her, I can't explain to you what that thought process was.
You think they would call it Ingrid Vinigrid or something like that?
Well, my nickname when I was a kid was Peanut.
Oh.
So, and I don't even want to go. It's like trying to rhyme orange, you know?
Yeah. Very cool. So how are you? How's Vegas? Is it hot? I assume it's hot.
Well, Vegas is a little bit cooler today because it's about 10 degrees cooler, so it's not 114.
Oh,
it's only 100 and say 4 or 3 or 2.
So it's bearable.
Well, we're so glad to have you.
It's never a good hair day for me.
We're so glad to have you here, and you look like you're in an air-conditioned house, so not too bad. Let me give you a little bit about Jodie Rocco, Andrew. She's a very beautiful lady, first of all, of course, as you can tell. And she was one of the actual singers of the group Milli Vanilli right here. I got the CD right here, and inside it says Jodie and Linda Rocco. Also, I've worked with Jodie for many years at Highway Radio and Barstow and in Las Vegas, and I got to know her through that, and we became friends. And she's a very great person. We've done some things together and hung out a few times, and it's been a lot of fun. And Jodie's very popular in Vegas. She had a, or maybe she still does. I haven't really had a chance. Do you still have your show that you do for entertainment show? Your review show? Do you do anything?
No, because What's On Magazine sadly closed its doors after 65 years.
Oh.
And the relationship that What's On Magazine had with Highway Radio, of course, was severed at that time. And my shows were on Highway Radio. So I would do an entertainment show based on what was in the magazine, which was one of the top magazines in Las Vegas. Like I said, for almost 64 years, it was an entertainment magazine. And I also did a lot of nightlife. I did 2 nightlife shows a week and 1 entertainment show.
And that's, so you're not doing an entertainment show now, but I just saw that you won an award recently.
For Entertainer of the Year.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
That was 2 years ago from the Women's Chamber of Nevada. They,
nice.
Gave me the Entertainer of the Year award. And then I was inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame for the state of Nevada.
That's it.
And I was on stage with quite a few very prominent people, including Carolyn Goodman, Mercedes from Mercedes in the Morning, Mercedes Martinez, and a couple of other very high-profile Las Vegans, or people that work in Las Vegas. My family's been here 43 years, so it's been a while. So I was very, very excited to have gotten that, because it's been a while since I've actually been on stage, but I think it was an all-around award, considering all the radio and all the other things that I did, and all the prominent marketing, PR, social media that I did with What's On Magazine and Highway Radio.
And well, I'm excited. I mean, we're getting award-winning people on our show. It's like we're important. I love this. This is great.
Thank you.
She doesn't have a chef like you do, though, Andrew.
No, not everybody has a chef like I do. That's
a chef. Hey, whoa, back up. A chef?
We were talking about this last week. We were interviewing Jill Marie Burke with the group Live from Earth, which is a Pat Benatar tribute band, and they do Jill performs at the Tropicana. She's in the Legends of the Legends of Tribute Legends.
Legends in Concert.
Thank you.
Legends in Concert. Oh, wow.
And so Andrew brought up that, we were talking about going out to eat and stuff in different places, and he had an issue with a place called Mimi's, which is a national chain.
Oh, I know Mimi's.
And anyway, Andrew says he has to go get his chef his chef makes better food. And
right. So, yeah. I was like, I'm practical. Like I can cook at home, or I can just have my chef cook something and just bring it to my doorstep and not have to go out.
See, that's not practical. Practical and having a personal chef are not practical things.
No, it's not.
Look, I've developed a certain image, so I have to commit all the way around with that image.
I guess so.
Oh, okay. Well, when you have that image, you have to keep up. People will forget about you if you don't.
Yeah. So when I say something like that, the chef, which by this point people don't know if I'm telling the truth or not, people just believe that does sound like something Andrew would do.
Well, I'll let you know. I'll do some research. I'll let you know about that. I'm excited about this Pat Benatar band, because I used to do a lot of Pat Benatar. She was one of my absolute favorite singers, to tell you the truth. Neil Giraldo, he was born and raised a block and a half from my aunt in Parma, and we used to drive by his house when I was 15, 16, 17. She wasn't big at the time. She didn't get really, really big until like I was 19 or 20. But the family, everybody knew who the family was. It was like a neighborhood thing, and it was very cool.
Well, the Pat Benatar tribute, Live from Earth, is like probably the most popular. I mean, she's been actually endorsed by Pat Benatar, met Pat Benatar, and they sound like Pat Benatar. If you haven't seen the show from last week, you need to go check out the show from last week. There's lots of clips and lots of information about that.
I'll have to look at that because I love Pat Benatar.
They were excited that knowing that we were going to talk to you guys this week. She was very excited about that. So Jill will love that, you mentioning her about that. And you can go to the Legends of Las Vegas. She's been booked there again, but unfortunately, the COVID-19 has caused a problem for that. So,
Legends
she's going to be back. She's going to be back.
Legends in Concert.
Right.
So
okay.
How is everything with COVID affecting you in your professional life? Like, how does it all look for you?
Well, I lost my job.
Oh wow! So you were dramatically affected.
I was directly affected with that. I lost my job. There's one of two reasons. Since I didn't get a reason, so I don't know. I was sent an email while I was in the middle of a work day. So after almost a year and a half. So I'm not quite sure what happened. It's either because I support Donald Trump or they ran out of money. And considering that they're still up and running, I'm tending more to believe that it was because I am a Trump supporter.
Oh, okay.
And I work for a liberal online gaming publication based in Las Vegas. Everybody was on the liberal side except for me. However, it never affected my work. I did all the social media and
Now, you see, Vegas always has fascinated me, especially with, Trump and everything. You say you're a Trump supporter. My question to you is, what is Vegas overall? Is it more of a liberal type of town? Is it more conservative? Okay, so it is liberal. Does that line up with the majority of how Nevada is, or is Nevada overall conservative?
Well, in 2018, Nevada was conservative. 2018, out of their hatred for Donald Trump, actually, a lot of people voted Democrats into office, and they see now during this pandemic exactly how just awful things are. The PUA, which is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Insurance, and the Department of Employment and Training and Rehabilitation, DETR, have not paid over 100,000 people, hospitality workers. We have the most unemployment in the United States is in Nevada.
Really?
And because the system is archaic and the system is antiquated, they haven't paid 100,000 people. Some people have not been paid since March 15th. People with families who are going under.
So what I want to, okay, so you said that, okay, it was Trump, so everyone has to vote the other way. Doesn't necessarily mean they're liberal, though. Would you still say that Nevada overall is still a conservative state? It's just that this is what's been presented lately?
I think the tables are definitely turning right now because of the problems that we are having. Keep in mind, Vegas is the entertainment capital of the world. There's not a show. There's not a nightclub. Bars are all closed, but the casinos are open. So I have a hard time with that because if you have nuts on the bar in a casino in Vegas, you're considered serving food, you can keep it open. If you're a mom and pop store, your PTs and you don't, or Dottie's, or just Lucky Joe's, who I used to do social media for, and you don't serve food, you're closed.
See, that's what's going on here in California too. California's doing the same thing. They've got
similar.
The bars are closed here, but if you serve food, you can go. You can be outside the bar. You can't be inside the bar. But even Gavin Newsom, you've probably seen this because I know you read all these articles. Nuts are not included in the kind of as a meal. You can't have pizza rolls, but you can have pizza. You can't have, like nachos and things like that. There's certain things that you can't eat, like finger foods, like wings, or there's no wings. You can have chicken, but you can't have wings. So it's really weird that, how these rules that are being put in place by so many of these people, it's crazy.
If you look at the liberally governed cities and states and counties, and you look at the conservatively governed ones, you're going to find a huge difference. For the most part. I'm not saying it's all better because it's Republican. That's not true either. However, in Arizona, for example, Martha, I think her name is Martha McSally, something like this. She's a Republican going for the Senate. Landslide victory in a Democrat-run state.
Wow.
Landslide victory she is looking at because of all these restrictions that are being put on. And our governor came on again last night and today and was, pretty much trying to explain away again why 100,000 people have not been paid, who are struggling, hardworking Nevadans who were promised certain things 5 months ago, and the system continually throws out. I've been trying for 8 weeks to get through. I was promised when my job started going down the tubes in March, when COVID hit, my boss, the publisher of the newspaper, came to me and said, hey, would you take a reduction in pay? I took a third reduction in pay. And I was promised that if I did not go on unemployment, I would be able to maintain my employment status.
Well, that's crazy.
Everybody
should get their unemployment. This is a time when everybody needs their unemployment, and
I've been accepted. I've been verified. I've been approved 5 times, and I cannot get. There's everybody working at the Department of PUA and DETR. There's 35 people working there that take care of hundreds of thousands of calls. You will call. I have tried for 4 days, 7 hours a day to get through.
We've had that here in California too. People I know or just cannot get through, and they've been waiting since March to get their pay as well. Hopefully they'll.
And I'm a taxpayer.
Right.
Just because I'm a freelancer doesn't mean I don't pay taxes. I pay more than anybody else who's actually an employee. You guys should know that.
Right. We're all freelancers. I'm freelancing.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm getting away scot-free.
Right.
I still pay taxes. So it's just a slap in the face and a kick in the groin, to tell you the truth, with all these people. And forget going out and trying to find a job at 61. People look at you and they go, why are you working?
It's
because
interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, looking at everything that you've done in your career, professional singer of a very famous group, songwriter, radio show host, entertainer, you're doing social media, marketing, public relations. It's safe to say you have a very diverse and very wide spectrum of skills and experiences that you can bring to the table. And even you, with all of that, is still struggling or are still struggling and are being affected dramatically by everything that's going on in this country right now.
My biggest problem is I'm a middle-aged white woman. I'm number 9 on the list to be hired.
Oh, no, you're right. Ageism, that's a real thing. People don't think that is, but ageism is actually a real thing.
Is.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because if you're a 22-year-old with a bachelor's or a 24-year-old with a master's and you don't have experience, you can't get that job. But it's a catch-22. I have this amazing degree. I'm very smart, but I don't have experience, so you're not going to hire me. And then on the flip side of that, if you have all the experience, perfect. I'm sorry, you're too old for this job. We legally can't say that, but you're too old for this job.
It's not even that. I come after the veterans, the ethnic groups, all 5 of them. Then I come down to the part where I'm a woman, and as a white woman, I'm screwed.
No, and you're right. That's actually
my privilege is not working for me, is what I'm saying.
But you're right. That's a thing. Like, there's the sexism and the ageism. Like, I don't care what anybody says, and I don't care how PC things are. I still do feel, and like yourself, I do social media for television and radio. So I see articles and I see analytics more so than the average person. And when I put it all together, I still feel, and I still draw as a conclusion, that this is still a man's world at the end of the day.
Well, it's not even so much that it's a man's world. It is evolving into this cancel policy, culture of either you agree with me, and if you don't, we're going to fire you. And if you don't have my opinion or my beliefs or everything, we're not going to hire you. And it's becoming an epidemic.
Right. It's black and white. It's like either you think option 1 or option 2. There's nothing in between anymore. It's all been thrown out the window.
That's right. You're absolutely correct. And if you look around, and I look around, because like you, I have 5 or 6 Facebook pages, different things that I promote, and different things that I do with Milli Vanilli, with with just myself. On LinkedIn, I have 5,200 followers. On LinkedIn, that's like unheard of.
That means
people
you're
have
a good
100,
networker.
they have that.
Yeah, that means you're a good networker, and yet you're still having issues figuring it out.
And when I
it's
go
hard.
into, if I'm looking for a job and I go in, they have a list of duties and responsibilities. I kid you not, that is 2 pages long. And if it's a marketing position, they want you to know graphic design. They want you to know, they want you to sing in front of the video. They want you to write the video, and they want you to market the video, and they want to pay you $10.50 an hour.
Well, this job has turned into something like everybody else's jobs. They ask you, you used to go get a job and you did a certain thing, but now you're taking the job of about 3 or 4 people to do these things. You're not just doing one. It's terrible.
But they're not paying you.
And they're not paying you. They're looking at a way to cut your pay, to give you as little pay as possible to do jobs of 4 and 5 people sometimes. I mean, I did that with production. I did jobs, I did more of writing and producing, and then, you had to go and do, I might as well have been the janitor and swept the floor a few times in a few places, because this is what they do. Nowadays, you had before you had a specific job, and you did that one job, you did it well, everybody worked. And there was plenty of employees. And, the minimum wage, of course, was less then. But, I mean, you understand it was just the pay was, everybody got to work. Everybody had a specific job, and they were good at that job. But now you have to do 3 or 4 jobs, and it's just crazy out there. It's just crazy.
But that can never end up well. It can never end up well. Because if I go to school to learn marketing, that has nothing to do with graphic design. It has nothing to do with business administration, maybe to a certain degree. It has nothing to do with the 5 or 6 other duties and responsibilities that are completely separate jobs, like public relations. I happen to just be very good at all 3 of those on my own, just because of me, not because I went to school to learn it. And I know a lot of people, and I networked like a maniac when I was with What's On Magazine, when I was with nightclubs.com, when I was with, for 15 years, I don't care where I went, even today. People say, oh, yeah, I remember you from nightclubs.com or from What's On Magazine or from Highway Radio. Hey, you still doing your shows? Just like you just said. Of course, because I marketed the crap out of it.
Well, do you know where I remember you from, Jodie?
Where?
I remember you from Milli Vanilli.
Oh. Wait, is that why we're here?
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
It's okay.
We're so glad to have you on, too, and thank you for your information about that. We want to really know about what's going on in Vegas as well. It's crazy out there about Vegas, indeed, and there's nobody working, right? There's no shows or anything. No
shows. No, like when you said your friend is at the Tropicana. Where?
Right. She's not there now because obviously she's on hold.
Yeah, she's hanging out.
This is what I'm saying. And if she's not getting any assistance from any kind of monetary or financial assistance because of the archaic, antiquated system that is what is part of DETR that has not been upgraded in 45 years, she's hurting. Yeah. She is hurting.
It is tough all over the country, and especially for entertainers, because it is an entertainment podcast. So we try to cover people in that realm. You have all of these other skill sets. Some of these entertainers, they're just musicians and entertainers.
That's right.
And they don't have those skill sets. So for someone that has skill sets, if that's the struggle, imagine what it's like for the ones that are just doing the entertaining. Same with Hollywood, with the actors and people that are professional dancers and directors and producers and writers. There's just nothing happening right now.
And here's the other thing.
Even if I do apply, they don't even want, you're not even allowed, for the most part, 90% of the time, to even apply if you don't have an accredited 4-year degree. Honey, I got more knowledge in the past 10 years, from the time up until now, in the past 10 years, than these kids would ever have with a 4-year degree at 22.
And here's what's the thing I was going to say is that, a lot of people who sing and do these things, Andrew, they, that's all they do. And Jodie knows this as well as I do, and I'm sure you probably do too. If you need to learn the business side, if you're going to be a singer, you're going to be an actor,
right.
you're going to be in theater, you're going to do these, anything you do with the entertainment field, don't just go out and start doing it just to, you think you're going to make a lot of money. You should know the ins and outs of the business.
Yeah, you got to have
a lot of these people do not, and that's the reason why they're hurting so bad right now. They don't know the ins and outs.
And that's an absolute fact. They don't know how to go out and do it themselves. If you're paying an agent, a manager, somebody to do your social media, you've got this going on, somebody's setting up your Facebook Live, somebody's doing, I do all that crap myself. My Facebook page I've had since 2008.
Yeah.
I created what's on their Facebook page. I created all of Highway Radio's social media. Everything you see today. I created Bart Torres's. I created his Twitter page. He said, why do I have to be on Twitter? I said, Bart, you're the entertainment guy for Nevada, California, Utah, and Arizona.
It's kind of important.
You have to have a Twitter page. And he's like,
important.
yeah, but I don't know how to do it. I said, I'll show you how. And I created his page. He had a blue check mark. I still can't get one because I'm a conservative. And I'm vocal.
That's crazy. You should have.
Of course it is.
You should have a blue check mark.
Nope. And now they're not giving them out at all. They haven't given out a blue check mark in 4 years. They're revising the system.
That's crazy.
Get with it, Jack, because I got things that go rhyme with Jack, and it ain't pretty.
Well, we'll give you a blue check mark right now.
I think Jack Dorsey is the CEO of Twitter.
Yeah, that's what I said, Jack. he needs to get with it.
Yeah.
Well, he needs to get with it because you're part of Milli Vanilli, and that was one of them. You should.
Yeah.
I can't get a blue check mark for Milli Vanilli either.
That's crazy.
You should have it.
Let me tell you about Milli
You know
Vanilli
what?
Twitter.
Let me text Jack for you. I'm going to solve this tonight for you. After
he gets his chef to fix his dinner.
I have priorities, Jody, so I need to eat first. So as soon as my personal chef drops off my food, I'm going to text Jack Dorsey for you.
Let's talk about Milli Vanilli.
The Twitter page for Milli Vanilli actually somebody was sitting on it. So 11 years ago, when Twitter was still a viable company, when people were still trying to get, be a part of everything, and it was being nice and it wasn't censoring people, I wrote them and I said, here's my name, here's my driver's license. They said, okay, well, we need to see proof that, you're part of the group. I sent them the album covers of all the groups. I sent them I sent them the Grammy thing. I sent them the Wikipedia, whatever was on Wikipedia at the time. And ping, I got the Twitter page at Milli Vanilli. That was a coup. And I still have it, but they won't give me the check mark.
There's the proof right there. Definitely.
There it is, boom. And that's the American release. The German release is different.
Well, I'm sure Jack Dorsey's a fan of our show. So after this episode hits his, iHeartRadio or Spotify, you're getting that check mark.
It's just not fair. And I think Milli Vanilli should have the check mark because it also has credibility, I guess you could say. I mean,
here's the credibility right there, Jack.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know what else they want from me.
You can see that or not. It's probably kind of blurry, but right there above my finger.
I mean, it's a major part of music history. You're forever going to be a part of what that was, and for it not to be identified on social media, which is just the way people consume content nowadays, is absolutely absurd and ridiculous. Look, Jack Dorsey, if you're watching this, she has the records.
Hang on, that's one. Hold on.
And it's just one. Look at that. She's going to the other one.
This is for 6 million. Sold.
6 million. Come on, Jack. Let's get on it.
See that thing in the corner there, Andrew? That's a cassette tape. You wouldn't know anything about those. Those are cassette tapes.
That's tape, the CDC, and the album.
Oh, I know what the vinyl and the CD are. The cassette thing, what is that? Is that another way that you would listen to music?
Very funny. I'm laughing. Hang on.
Cassette. What a weird name. What does it mean?
I know, right? And I actually still have my where is it? Here. I have.
There you go.
Oh man, that's probably older than me.
Hang on a second.
If you're listening to us on like iHeart or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, she's showing the actual cassette from before I was born for Milli Vanilli.
Girl, it's true. It's the maxi single with Maxi.
Oh, it's the single.
Touch. Yeah, it's the maxi single, but it's still, you know, try finding one of these suckers today.
How much brand new was that single back in the day? Like $10?
Oh no, they were like 99 or something like that, right?
No. It was. I don't think it was that expensive. Let me see. I don't see it on here. There's no price. That'd be interesting to know, though.
Yeah.
I know what the CDs cost because the CDs are still, even from 30 years ago when I first bought the CDs, the price tag is still on them, and it was 19 marks.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Let me tell you, Andrew, these songs, number one, Girl, You Know It's True. Girl, You Know It's True.
Hey,
it was never number one.
Yeah, we don't have license.
Never number one in the United States, number two, right?
Right. We had three number ones.
Don't Forget My Number. That was a huge.
There you go.
Blame It on the Rain. I had lots of requests for that when I worked in radio. I was lots of requests.
Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You.
Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You. All or Nothing. That was the other one. A lot of songs here. A lot of songs just on this one album. Then there was a second album that also had a lot of huge hits also in the United States.
Well, the second album was never released here. So there was there were no
album that we're hearing. There's a third album or something, isn't there? There's another
no.
Album.
There was the first album, but there were two different versions of it. One was in Germany, which is All or Nothing. Hang on.
We're hanging.
This
there it is.
Is the German release of the CD you have.
Right.
But the CD you have, this one has different songs on it.
Right.
This one has Can't You Feel My Love, Boy in the Tree, Money, Dance with the Devil, Girl, I'm Gonna Miss You, All or Nothing, Baby, Don't Forget My Number, Dreams to Remember, Is It Love, Ma Baker, one of my favorites, Hush, Girl, You Know It's True, which is the Subway mix on this one, and Too Much Monkey Business.
So let's talk about your part of Milli Vanilli. Let's talk about that. What you were in Germany for a while. Linda told us earlier that you were
14 years.
You were there and on a visit, and she was working in the studio there with Frank Farian and some of the people, and that they wanted you guys to come in and do some vocals. Tell us about your side of that.
Well, that's not necessarily the whole truth. I'll tell you the whole truth. The whole truth was one of the girls that hang on one second. I'm sorry. It's getting hot in the room and I want the air to come on. One of the girls that she was supposed to sing with couldn't make it, and it was for somebody else. It was for Helen Schneider. And Helen Schneider is a Broadway singer, and she's a very big singer in Germany. And she was making a new album in Frank's studio. Frank had one of the first digital recording studios in Europe. He spent 10 million on this studio. Nobody had a digital studio. So the girl she was supposed to sing with couldn't do it. So she asked me if I would. So I drove up because I was living in Munich. I was living in Dusseldorf. I drove down to Frankfurt and we recorded, I want to say 3 songs for Helen. So while we were singing with Helen, Frank came in and he was listening and he goes, "Hey, I really like your sound. Why don't you guys come in on your lunch break? And I've got something, won't take you very long to do." And I was never a fan of singing on German productions because it's what they call Schlager music. And it's also oohs and ahs and I love yous and all that, ich liebe. So I said, God, I hope it's not oohs and ahs and I love yous, right? So we get in there and it's just a drum track. And it's he says, "Okay, here's what I want you to sing. I want you to go, ooh, 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 I love you." And I turned and I looked at Linda and I said, "I'm going to beat you till you bleed when we get out of here."
That's hilarious. It's funny that you say "ooh ahs, girl, I love you," because when I was a recording artist many, many moons ago, I had producers that I would work with, but they also did stuff for K-pop. And for those that are listening that don't know what K-pop is, it's Korean pop music.
Korean pop, yeah.
Yeah, hence the K. It's the same. It's not about the words. It's really about the music that you produce and stuff. So you could just put, and it's Americanized. Like they translate it in American, and when you do, the words really don't make sense for the most part. It's really about the beat and the different types of synths that they're using, which I find fascinating that it in different parts of the world. And I mean, Milli Vanilli was pop music. I mean, of the time, it was top 40.
Well, it was rap. It was the first commercial rap group type of music. ever in the world
Right.
where women were involved, where girls were singing.
I guess what I'm saying is it was mainstream. It was Germany, but it was still mainstream. But in all these different parts of the world where they do popular music, there's something that they put more of an emphasis on. K-pop, it's really the music, not the words. In Germany, it's the oohs, the ahs, and the I love yous and stuff.
Well, if you listen to the lyrics to some of the songs like Boy in the Tree or Can't You Feel My Love, you're going to sit there and the first question you're going to ask yourself is, who in God's name spell check this thing for grammar? and some of it doesn't even make sense. I'm singing in incorrect English. How is this? It has nothing to do with that, but the music is out of this world.
It's all about the music in that case, yeah. So, okay, I know that Rob passed away many years ago, but do you talk to Fab at all? You know, the original members of Milli Vanilli? Do you guys, I mean, all these years later, do you guys talk or, you know, interact at all?
No, we don't, and I'll tell you why. Rob and I were friends. I knew Rob long before he became part of Milli Vanilli. He used to dance in my shows.
Okay.
But Fabrice thinks that he is Milli Vanilli and that he did it all by himself.
Gotcha.
He plays the victim card continually, and it gets on my nerves because this is a guy who didn't sing a note, and I didn't dance a note.
He didn't do anything at all, so he shouldn't feel that way, right?
He did. Well,
I mean, he had to get in front of the camera, Kevin.
The group, but I mean, he fronted the group. I'm not going to say he wasn't a part of the group because without him and Rob, you know, I don't know if Brad and John were exactly what the people were looking for when they were looking to, you know, for two really good-looking, you know, guys fronting a group. And Frank's idea was to have, you know, just all Black people in the group, and that's all he ever did. Look at Bonnie M. and look at other groups that he, you know, he's had other groups that he's worked with that were basically all Black, and that's what he wanted. He wanted all Black on stage, and but they were all white people behind, except for the two boys dancing and the two boys singing. Everybody else, you know, from soup to nuts. So I kind of have an issue with Fabrice because I think playing the victim card is a sad, despicable way to remember his time, number one, as Milli Vanilli. He wasn't the victim when he was living in a mansion, driving a Ferrari or whatever car he had. He wasn't a victim when he was going shopping for Rolex, you know, watches and buying one in each color with the bezel and diamond bezel and all that stuff. Then he wasn't a victim. He was a victim when we sold 46 million records and Frank didn't write him a big old honking check. So then all of a sudden he became a victim when it came out that he didn't sing.
These guys got paid very well for being just lip syncers and dancers, basically, in a nutshell.
Well, they worked, but they worked. I'm not going to take away from them that they did work hard. I understand that, but I wanted to work hard. The girls who sang to my voice and to Linda's voice made over $1.3 million.
Wow. And did you get paid for any of this? I mean, you got paid, but did you get
we got paid for studio time, yeah.
Wow.
And that's where it ends, though, right? Studio time.
That's where it ended.
Wow, that's sad.
That's where it ended. You know?
If Milli Vanilli was something that was happening now, with the knowledge that you have, I'm sure you would have figured out a way to try to get more money out of that, right? Because times are different now.
Well, the thing that would have been different today is social media. If social media was around at that time, none of this would be going on today. It would have prevented so much crap from happening. You can't imagine. Think of it. At that time, Milli Vanilli opened for Paula Abdul. The scandal with Paula Abdul was that one of her background singers, I think her name was Veronica or something like this, Veronica Brown. Supposedly, she sang, they said, Paula Abdul's stuff. Well, I doubt that very seriously because the way Paula Abdul talks is the way she sings.
Right.
Exactly. You cannot tell the difference from that. But it was a huge problem because she had to prove that that this girl was just a backing singer. So they paid her off. They paid her like $500,000 to shut up and go away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they didn't want to have to deal with it and have it go through the press. Then you have CNC Music Factory. You know, it was Martha Wash that was from Black Box that was doing all the singing. Then you have, I mean, you just look at the stuff that Frank did. I mean, even Bonnie M. They didn't sing. That's mostly Frank singing.
That's just crazy stuff. It's amazing how the behind the scenes you never see. I mean, these songs are hits and huge on the dance floor and on the radio, but then, you know, you don't know the drama that goes behind all these things. It's the music business. It's a lot of drama that goes behind this.
And it's dog eat dog. Let's not forget.
It is dog eat dog.
Well, it was, I want to say it was more dog eat dog then than it is now. Now everybody's filming every fracking move you make. Everybody's got a cell phone out. Just look at all these peaceful protesters. And I say that with tongue in cheek. Everybody has their phone out and they're taking a video of something. Can you imagine in the studio with Diane Warren, Doreen Dorian, her partner, singing Blame It on the Rain? She was in the studio with us.
You know, I'm surprised.
Tell me where it hurts.
I'm surprised nobody's even remade any of these songs yet. I mean, it's been 30 years.
I'm sure they're on the list. They just haven't gotten to it yet.
It should get. Well, we should get some of these songs. I mean, we were talking with Linda earlier. The drum beat, particularly from the one song, has been used many times in other songs. You know, that's been.
Because Frank sampled it. It's from something else.
It was
Frank was a master at sampling. They call him beats today. He did this 30 years ago.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not going to take that away from him either, that he's brilliant, because he is.
Let me ask you this question, Jodie. How do you feel? I mean, you've worked with a lot of artists, and how do you feel about the way back then, Milli Vanilli? You know, they were the one group, and they didn't really sing with a lot of. You know, today a lot of artists sing with other artists in the records. You know, there's not actually a whole album where the artists sing themselves. Back then, you know, in the 90s, a lot of artists sing themselves, and if they had a special guest on one or two songs, it was okay. But now it seems like every artist has a special guest on every song. It's a collaboration on everything. How do you feel about that now compared to back then? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing? My personal opinion, I think it's a bad thing. I think an artist should.
I don't care for it myself. Yeah, I don't care for it myself. If Linda Ronstadt, one of my absolute favorite singers, and Ricky Lee Jones, another one of my absolute favorite singers, songwriters, she's a songwriter. If they would have had somebody on every single, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in that, because Linda Ronstadt has a magnificent way of making every single song. Linda Ronstadt.
Hers. She owns it.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And this is what separated so many artists of that time. Look at Boston. Look at Journey. Can you imagine if they had guest singers? What the hell? What's that going to sound like? I want to hear Steve Perry.
You know, I will say though that CMT, I think it was CMT, had a special series called Crossroads, and one of my favorites actually was the one where Pat Benatar performed with Martina McBride, and they shared the stage with each other's songs. Another one was Taylor Swift and Robert Plant, and I think that's cool when they come together and they're able to share the stage and do each other's music. I don't know. I think it's a hit and miss personally when an artist features another artist for a song. It just depends on whether or not the chemistry is going to be good or not, because I think there's been great collaborations, and then I think there's also been horrible collaborations in music.
Well, when Run DMC did Walk This Way with Aerosmith, it was the best. You can only go down from there, because that was one of the best collaborations from two different, totally different, outrageously different genres of music.
Yeah. It created a new genre.
Who would ever think, right?
Yeah.
Do I want to hear a whole album of it though? No, I don't. Do I want to hear Run DMC sing with Travis Tritt? No. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do, yes.
As a one-off, if you want to do it, and you say like when they used to do Divas. Remember the show Divas on VH1?
I do remember that one.
And Mariah Carey, Celine Dion,
Shania Twain.
Who else? Shania Twain. There was,
Aretha
I think,
Franklin.
6 of them. Was Whitney Houston in that? She was in one of them.
No, she was not. In the one that we're talking about, she was not.
Okay, because I think they did Divas 3 or 4 times or whatever. And for me, that was fantastic, because it had everybody doing somebody else's stuff, but basically it kind of remained palatable, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if it's something, you know, do I want to hear Drake sing with everybody and their effing mother in the world? No. Do I want to see Ariana Grande? Why was she doing a song with, she just had a song with Lady Gaga? Why?
Yeah, I don't understand all these collaborations either. I've agree with you. Boston was a huge group, and even Paula Abdul, she didn't have back in those days, she didn't have anybody sing with her. She did all the songs.
I think she did one time. She sang, the one guy sang with her, and it's opposites attract.
Right.
And you never even saw his face. I couldn't tell you what his name was.
And he wasn't even I'm sure his name was on the album as a guest, but he wasn't featured in anything. And now it's just like, T-Pain is on this, and all these different rappers are sitting in and doing a rap track on mainstream pop albums and things like that. And I just don't think
collaborations are fantastic. Nelly and Tim McGraw.
That was a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, some of them are really, really, really good, but I don't know if I want to hear a whole album of it.
Right, and
what I'm saying.
It's just amazing. I've seen a lot of albums also come back, and Lionel Richie's one. Lionel Richie did an album with all of these country artists that re-sing all his songs. I just don't get that. I'm sorry. I just, never heard. The Bee Gees we were talking earlier with Linda about the Bee Gees. Bee Gees never did any guest artists. They had, Samantha Singh, of course, but they had
but they
Yvonne Elliman did their songs, but they didn't. They weren't. It was just.
So did Barbra Streisand, but
it was unheard of. It was just unheard of back then. But it was a special thing. It was like you eat at home all the time, unlike Andrew with a chef. But you eat at home all the time, and. Then you decide you want to go out to a steakhouse and have dinner, or a Chinese place and have dinner. That's a special occasion. And that's how I feel these extra artists that they do nowadays. It should be a special occasion now and then to go, oh, wow, that was cool. And then you don't hear anything again. But then the next week, nowadays, it's the special artist is here. They have a hit. They drop that off. Then the special artist comes in the same with the same artist, and a different special artist the next week. I mean, it's just crazy how fast things are moving.
I go back to Ariana Grande. She doesn't need anybody. Just sing the song. Just sing. I don't want to hear you singing with anybody else.
Right.
There were some really great collaborations I love, like I Got 99 Problems But You Won't Be One. That was fantastic, with the girl doing the rap. And the one song she did with Nicki Minaj, she doesn't need anybody else. She can do her own thing. Christina Aguilera, same thing. These girls have voices and can hit notes only dogs can hear. They don't need a rapper.
This has been a great
go on
interview.
Tour, who's rapping? Who's rapping? Is Nikki going on tour with you? Are you going to bring 65 special guests with you on tour?
Yeah, it's usually just the track that's playing with them.
It's crazy.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. That's not what Linda Ronstadt never had tracks. Linda Ronstadt sang live.
That's true. Jodie, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. This has been super insightful. I love this. Absolutely love this.
Talk about Milli Vanilli. Let's talk about real quick about the Milli Vanilli website. You want to push that and talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's the real Milli Vanilli. As Milli Vanilli, I'm always worried that Frank Farian's going to come after me if I have Milli Vanilli.
Right.
So I call it the real Milli Vanilli because it really is the real Milli Vanilli. So there is pages on there. There's pages you can go and buy our music on it. I don't make anything from that. But it's just something for people because we're not recording and releasing new music. There's no reason for me to have to make a profit on that. If you can find it, buy it. And by the way, I have some really cool Milli Vanilli stuff. Really cool.
I'd like to see all that sometime. That'd be great.
Yeah, a poster came with the first album in Germany when you bought the album, the LP. So, and there's different songs, different versions of the songs on the album as opposed to the CD. And the cassette. So it's very, very interesting stuff.
Hey, Andrew, I want to tell you something about Jodie that you might not know. And you're going to love this.
Okay.
Jodie sings karaoke.
Oh, my gosh. Come to California. Let's do, well, I guess not
I'm
now.
I'm constantly telling that to Kevin. I want to come out there so badly, I should say, and do one of his shows with him because when we were in Laughlin, if you remember.
We went to Laughlin. And Jodie got up on stage and sang karaoke, and it was awesome. It was
Yep.
it was fun, and nobody, you know, I knew.
Did you do
I-
Milli Vanilli? Please tell
No,
me you
she
did
didn't.
Milli Vanilli.
How am I going to do that? It was a rap. It's a rap lead vocal. I sing.
I can tell you what she did. It wasn't Milli Vanilli. It was she did a Bonnie Raitt song, and she did it very well.
Okay.
I did Blue Bayou.
And you did I Can't Make You Love Me. I remember that you singing that.
I can't make you. Yes. I can't make you love me if you don't. And then there was the first time, real quick, first time I ever did karaoke in the United States, 1990. I just moved back from Germany with my husband. We're at beaches in Los Angeles. Karaoke was brand new at the time, and people were terrified to get up and sing. Not like today, everybody and their mother wants to be a reality star.
Right.
But at that time, people were nervous. So I got up, I sang, Mariah Carey was very big at the time, so I did Vision of Love. And the manager of the restaurant came up to me and said, I will comp your meal and I will give you I'll give you a gift card to come back and eat again. Please don't sing. I said, why not? He goes, because nobody will get up.
You scared him.
And I said, well, okay.
In a good way.
All right. Yeah, it was a good thing. It was like, oh, okay, I understand that. Nobody would get up and sing after me for like an hour.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I would have got up there and sang after you. I'm
Well,
not, you know.
like I said, in today's world, you're punching people and elbowing them and getting them out and headbutting them to get out of the way so you can get up there and sing your song. But not then.
That's just
That was funny.
I just wanted Andrew to know that because Andrew likes to play karaoke and we have a lot of fun doing it.
I
We'd
love
to have you
karaoke.
come out and sing with us when all this COVID thing gets over with and the whole bit.
Oh dear God! There better be something soon. I can't wear these masks anymore. I'm too damn cute.
I'll be your backup dancer, Jodie. I'll be your backup.
Okay, there you go. And I'm a choreographer, so I can help you.
There you go.
Awesome.
Well, we're so glad you came on today and was part of this whole thing. We've been excited. We've been planning this for a couple of weeks, and we were excited.
We've been pumping it on other episodes.
Right. We're excited to have you here, the real Milli Vanilli, the real singers, the real people who know the story behind Milli Vanilli. I mean, what more can you ask for? I mean, that's just, it's totally.
Not a whole hell of a lot. Damn, you know people.
I know. I'm thrilled that I mean, I've known you for a while now. We've been friends for quite some years now, but it's just crazy to be able to have you on and to represent something that was, things got taken so sad that how things ended up with Milli Vanilli. And, it's sad that
the burning of the CDs and the steamrollers and destroying them in the street was
it's devastating for you when you work so hard on something and it falls apart like that. But we know this is not your fault. This was a thing of Frank Farian and his whole guru thing and his idea. And it's too bad because you guys, I think that, man, you could have made some real history.
That second album it was better than the first.
You made real history. Let's put it this way. You made real history, but unfortunately it was, things happen like this. Speaking of that real quick, what do you think about Ellen? Do you think that's a big downfall that's going to be breaking down pretty soon?
I think that if she was leaning more towards the conservative side, she would have been out of a job. She would have been fired already.
Right.
However, but because she's not, and she is not a fan of the Trump administration, and she's a liberal, you'll notice that it's being kind of buried. It's not on anybody's list to be talked about anywhere. I think if it's true, I think something should be done.
Well, 18 people have come out of the woodwork so far, they're saying. So
that's what I'm saying.
And none of her A-list supporters are actually, it's not helping her. It's not firepower. So it's going down.
Well, you know what? Well, let me tell you something. What goes around comes around.
You know what the most ironic part about that is too? She ends every single show with, remember to always be kind to one another.
Be kind.
Every
That's
episode.
what I'm saying.
That's her tagline.
Be kind. And I can see, I mean, when I started hearing all this stuff about Barbra Streisand, and I was hearing all this stuff, you didn't hear it about a lot of people, but Barbra Streisand, man, I was so upset when I heard that she was a miserable, miserable wench to work for. Don't look at me. Don't look at me in the eye. Don't talk to me. And I know people who worked with her, for her, who said that. I was like, I cannot believe this. So if it's true, girl, if you know it's true, I firmly hope that she gets her comeuppance.
Well, I guess we'll see. It'll pay off in the long run. You know, one of those things that people, you have to be nice. You truly have to be nice to people. I mean, you just can't be, I mean, even though you're a star or whatever the case is, you should treat people, you know, with kindness. And there are a lot who do, but there are a lot who don't.
I mean, I treat my chef with a lot of respect.
The two boys, Rob and Fab, were awful. They were awful when they went out.
I had heard that.
I went out with them here in Vegas. Oh my God. I said, if you talk to that waitress like that one more time, I swear to God, I'm leaving and I will leave you here.
I have heard that. I had heard that. That's crazy.
So, all right, Jody, we got to wrap up. We got to wrap up the show, but we want to thank you again so much for coming on today. And we're going to have to get you on again.
Definitely.
Down the road for sure. Season 2.
Talk about other things. I know stuff.
That's good.
She's our Las Vegas connection. We might have her on here to do Las Vegas connection stuff.
I think she's going to. She's going to be our gal for Las Vegas.
By the way, Jody,
insider stuff.
I know that you were very. I don't know how close you were, but you know our good friend Bart Torres. You mentioned earlier in the program.
Yes.
He passed away with a heartache, with a heart attack a few weeks ago, and we're sad to hear that. I worked with Bart for 12 years, so it was.
Many years I worked with him. We worked.
God bless him.
Side by side. He did a lot of stuff. I made sure that I wasn't doing his stuff. He made sure that, you know, all his stuff was right. So we always had a great diversity of things. He was in all of our meetings when we had meetings during the week, and he will be missed.
He will be missed. So thank you for being on. We appreciate you being here so much. We will have you back on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm going to touch base with you on some things, and we'll get together on that. But thank you so much, and thank you to Linda Rocco as well, from live from Frankfurt, Germany earlier. And Jody from Las Vegas. And we're Kevin and Andrew have a podcast. And Andrew, you want to say anything else real quick?
Yeah, make sure that you guys join us for the Facebook, because we do respond to your guys' comments. We see them on there. So that would be
good.
Yeah, facebook.com/the best podcast ever. That's literally the URL. You could also email us if there's certain guests you want to see, or if you have comments, or if I've said something again to upset you, at koacpodcast@gmail.com.
Don't give them my address.
And Jody lives at 555.
I am at Jodie Rocco everywhere.
Last but not least, you can subscribe to us. If you can't see the video, you can always listen to us on the audio on your drive. Here we go. Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker. All you got to do is type in Kevin and Andrew have a podcast and subscribe. And then you'll get notifications when we're on.
All right. Thank you so much. Show number 11.
Done.
Boom.
Done.
Ciao.
Done. Thank you so much. Everybody have a good night. Everybody have a good week. And God bless everybody. Kevin and Andrew have a podcast. Signing out.
Later.
Bye-bye.